Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au. One of the things I know to be true after spending more than 3 decades researching real estate markets around Australia is that the state of the local economy is probably the biggest single factor that dictates the fortunes of local property markets. Not national factors such as the level of interest rates or the level of regulation by bodies like APRA. It's all about what's happening in the local economy. And if you list the various state and territory economies in terms of their strength from 1 to 8, as CommSec does every quarter with its State of the State reports, you'll find an almost exact correlation between that list, that ranking list, and the rankings of the property markets in the capital cities of each state and territory. So for the last several years, the number 1 and the number 2 economies in Australia have been New South Wales first and Victoria second, and it's no coincidence that the strongest property markets in Australia in terms of the capital cities has been Sydney first and Melbourne second. Equally, the 2 weakest economies in Australia in terms of the 8 state and territory economies have been Northern Territory and Western Australia. And again, no coincidence, the weakest property markets where prices have been going backwards for the last 4 years have been Perth and Darwin. So it's interesting to see the results of the new State of the State report published this week by CommSec, and to see what are the rising state economies, because I'm finding that this correlates equally with the property markets that are also rising. New South Wales and Victoria are still ranked number 1 and 2 on the various criteria that CommSec uses, but number 3 is the Australian Capital Territory, number 4 is Tasmania, number 5 is South Australia. And what we've seen in the last, say, 6 to 12 months is that we've had a very strong and rising market in Hobart, the capital city for the 4th ranked economy in the nation. And we've also seen the Canberra property market start to stir to life as Sydney is fading. Canberra is starting to rise. So the ACT is the 3rd ranked economy in Australia, and some forecasters are predicting that this year and perhaps for the next couple of years, Canberra is going to lead on price growth amongst the state and territory capital cities. And it's also interesting to note that South Australia, which is usually ranked in the bottom 2 or 3 or 4 on the rankings list by CommSec, is now ranked number 5. And I see this as significant also because the Adelaide market, I believe, as I've said in some of my previous video broadcasts in recent weeks, I think that the Adelaide market is the most underrated city market in Australia. It's the most consistent market. The state economy of South Australia is improving, and out of that I expect to come better price growth performance from Adelaide as we move forward. So it's worth taking note of some of these economic events. So we always look out for the quarterly publication of the State of the States report from CommSec, because we find there's such a strong correlation between the rankings for the various state and territory economies and the performance of property markets in the capital cities of those states and territories. That's it for now. Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au. Talk to you again soon.